Hello all, my name is Mr. Andre and welcome. I hope all of you are doing well and that you are all safe. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you in class. But until then, let's work with what we have. Okay, so today we're going to look at science P5, right? And the topic that we will be discussing is forces and friction. So before we start with that, let me quickly explain how this is going to work. I'm going to put this up here. Right, so at the end of this lesson, you will be able to explain what a force is. You'll be able to identify if it's a push or a pull force. You will also be able to measure force with a spring scale. And if we have time, we'll do that in class when we get back to school. For this lesson, you will need a pencil and a notebook. Okay. And then you'll also see in the top left corner, if it says copy, you need to copy those words into your notebooks. Right. So if you have your notebook and your pencil or pen ready, we can start. Right, so we're going to look first at pull and push forces. So here I have a little platform and here I have a pen. I'm going to put this pen onto the platform so everyone can see it. Now, what can I do to make this pen move? Well, it's easy. I can push the pen or I can pull the pen. All right, let's try it again. That's a push force and that's a pull force. Right. So we now know what is a push and what is a pull force. Now we can also make this pen change direction by just pushing it in a different direction or pulling it in a different direction. We can also make it move faster or we can make it move slower. All right. So let's have a look. A force is a push or pull energy on an object. Again, remember the pen? We had a push and a pull force. A force on an object can change its direction. So I can make the pen move that way by pushing it towards you or pulling it towards me or pushing it towards the wall or pulling it towards this wall. So I can make it change direction. I can also change the speed at which I push or pull it by applying more force. Right. So a force on an object can change its direction and speed of movement. Imagine you go to a Big C or Tops and you are pushing a trolley in that supermarket. You are applying a push force on that trolley. Am I right? Now, the harder you push, the more force you are applying, the faster the trolley moves. Right. Again, apply more force, the trolley will move faster. All right. So what you can do now is you can pause the video and then you can see here in the top corner it says copy. Then you can copy all of this. You can copy all of this so that when you write test, it makes it easier for you. Right. When you're finished copying, we can continue the video and go on to the next slide. Okay, so let's have a look at this slide. All right. So here we have pull forces and push forces. Let's look at the first one. That is a pull force. Pull force. All right, so basically means, remember when I took the pen and I put it on the platform, I pulled it and it moved. So normally when you pull something, you move it towards you. Now, I just also want to have a look at that word over there. That's the word exert. If you look at the bottom corner here, it means when you put in an effort to do something. So when you do something, you are exerting a force, whether it is a pull force or a push force. A push force, this is now where you push something and it moves. So we have the pull force where we pull something, and we have a push force where we push something. Right. As I mentioned, the more force you apply, the quicker something will move, or it can change its direction or something like that. So, as it says, a force also has a size. The bigger the object is, the more difficult it is to push. All right. So, imagine this pen again. Right. So, I can push this pen. It's easy. It doesn't weigh a lot. But imagine going outside and pushing a car. That's a bit more difficult because the car is heavier, which means you need a greater or bigger force to move it. Again, students, please notice that there is a copy sign here at the top, and you need to copy all of this into your notebook. You can copy that, and you can copy that. That's just what the word exert means. So you can pause the video now, copy it into your notebook, and then once you're finished, we can continue. Next one. So let's look at this picture over here. You can see a person with a trolley. What kind of force do you think is being exerted in this picture? If you said it's a push force, well done. All right, let's look at the next one. What kind of force do you think is exerted in this picture? Well, if you said it's a pull force, you are correct. Well done. What about this picture? You can see a boy and a rock. What is he doing? What kind of force is exerted on that rock? If you said it's a push force, you are correct. Well done. All right. Here we have a game with a rope, and on both sides of the rope, there are people pulling on the rope. This game is called tug of war. So what force do you think they are exerting in this picture? If you said it's a pull force, you are 100% correct. Well done. So let's look at the last one over here. A spring scale. This picture that you see is a spring scale. You will notice that on the left of the spring scale, you can see it says newtons, and on the other side it says grams. Now, we are going to look at newtons because we measure force in Newton. As you can see here, we measure the size of force in Newton, and we use the symbol N to talk about Newton. If we write N at the end of Newton, or at the end of your number. So we can use a spring scale to measure force. Now, I hope that we can do this exercise or this experiment once we are back in class, but by that time you will be able to do it by yourself. So, do you think you will exert a push or a pull force when measuring force with a spring scale? Think about it. You can attach the spring scale to an object and then pull the object while reading on the spring scale. So remember what I used there? I used the word pull. So if you think it's a pull force, you are correct. We use a pull force to measure, or when we measure force with a spring scale. Remember, you have the word copy there in the top. So you need to copy all of this into your notebook. Again, you can pause the video and do the copying, and once you're finished, you can continue with the video. Okay, so let's do a little bit of a review. Do you think you will exert a push force or a pull force? You will use a pull force. All right. The reason for that is you will attach an object to the front of the spring scale, pull it, and then you will get a reading on the scale. So, what is a force? If you apply a push force to an object, will the object move away from you or towards you? And what unit do we use to measure force? What instrument can we use to measure force? What you can do now is pause the video and quickly answer these questions in your notebook. Once you are finished, we can look at the answers, and then you can continue the video, and then I'll give you the answers. Okay, so what is a force? A force is a push or pull energy on an object. If you apply a push force to an object, will the object move away from you or towards you? Well, remember, a push means the object will move away from you. What unit do we use to measure force? Well, we use Newton. And what instrument can we use to measure force? We can use a spring scale. Okay, students, and there we are at the end of our lesson. Please go and review all of what we have done today, because in the next lesson, I will ask you some questions before we start the lesson. Good luck, everybody, and see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.